Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Boiling Point podcast. I am your host, JD, and of course, that was Marcus Fredrickson playing us in as he plays us in and out of every episode on the Boiling Point podcast. Make sure you check out his music, reverbnation.com/Marcus Fredrickson. I am being joined today in our the sixth episode of our ongoing coverage of the West Shore School District by Mariana Reed and Denise, and both of them are parents of children within the West Shore School District. Mariana and Denise, welcome back to the Boiling Point podcast.
Thank you. Merry Christmas.
Thank
Yes,
you.
yes. Merry Christmas, everybody, to all of our viewers. This is the last episode that we have coming out until January. So I will be taking Christmas off and taking some time to recharge my batteries. So look for us to come back with more episodes in January, middle to end of January is when we'll start having more episodes again. In addition, we'll be finishing up our Old Testament survey series early in the new year, and we may even be launching another new series or two also in the new year. So 2025 is shaping up to be a big year for the Boiling Point podcast. But let's talk about the West Shore School District and some of the continuing ongoing problems. Bullying is a continuing ongoing problem. Now, in the past 2 years, counting this school year, the cops have been called for incidents on multiple occasions. Just this year alone, we're only 4 months into this school year. They've already been multiple calls, and the police have already had to show up on campus multiple times for some of these bullying incidents. Parents have pulled their kids out of the West Shore School District in exchange for cyber schooling. A lot of parents are doing that now. West Shore School District has lost a lot of kids to cyber schooling, and it's actually affecting their budget at this point because the more kids who leave their school and go to cyber school, they lose more and more tax dollars. Don't even get me started on the Department of Education on this episode. So, Denise and Mariana, how bad is this problem? I mean, it seems to be a pretty significant problem at this point. If the cops are being, it's been for 4 months in, and they're being called to the campus multiple times.
Well, it is a bad situation. We've had various bullying situations in the start of the school year. I believe that Denise remembers this. Just in the very start of the school year, we had an incident in which a child was making a threat, a child that was bullied, okay, to retaliate on the children that were bullying him or her. Okay, and actually created what we call a hit list. And I think I have sent you that list, okay, with names of children. And this was circulated through social media. Unfortunately, our superintendent tried to say that it was a bogus list and it never happened. No, it did happen. And to tell you more, in my neighborhood, I saw the cops knocking on the doors of various children about this threat. So why is this happening? The reason this is happening that it has gotten to the point in which children wants to bring let's say weapons into the school, okay, and make threats like like such, is basically because the administration in the West Shore School District is ignoring this bullying situation. We spoke, you and I, about a few months ago, I think last year, about a mother that had to pull her child, okay, out of the West Shore School District because her child was being attacked by the same bully. Throughout a couple of years, this bully followed this child from elementary school to junior high school, and this time around, the child winded up in the ER. Okay, this was reported various times to Tastos, the superintendent, and the principal at the time for that child was Granger, and it was like going in one ear, out another. No resolution was found. Parents wanted a board member to accompany them to the meeting with the principal and Tastos. But unfortunately, the administrator, Todd Stoltz, stopped that. Okay, basically, he strongly advised the school board members not to get involved because if they have to suspend the children or whatever, they would have to be part of that so-called jury. And the board members like, well, just excuse me from that part. You know what I'm saying? I just don't take part of it. And he's like, well, I highly advise you not to. And it's supposed to be some sort of policy in which they can't, which is ridiculous because who can handle, and help bring resolution to this is the board members.
Is
So
there is there a policy or something written down about Denise?
Yes, it actually says the board is supposed to sit down and decide whether, there's a probation period for the child, what offense, the evidence, everything, just look at it. But yes, it says the school board. So they are to be doing that, and he is
O-
blocking that from happening.
He's
Okay,
interfering. Yes, he is.
interfering. So how
Hmm.
what can be done about that then? Is there anything that can be done in the immediate, or is this something that's going to have to be worked on? Seems to me that the if the policy says that the school board is supposed to be involved, actually, let's step back for a minute. How do we? What can be done to make sure that this bullying is stopped?
Well, the administration is going to have to start, enforcing disciplinary action
So how?
up to expelling the child if they have to,
So
but they are refusing to do so, and you know why? Because of money.
I was just about to say, can I jump out on a limb here and say it's about money?
Yes, it's about
And if they
money.
start suspending kids, they're going to lose money from the Department of Education. Please don't get me started on that in this episode.
Correct. And then they had an issue last year with attendance in the West Shore School District. So if I am correct, Denise, they are on probation due to kids not coming to school. Okay, so now it's affecting their money. So if they weren't suspending them and expelling them then, I don't see it happening now.
Okay, so
Yeah,
what
they're
can be
not
done?
following through.
So for the parents now, because that's why we've been covering this. That's why the Boiling Point podcast has been covering these issues. For the parents, for people who can get involved. What can you do now? What can be done? What can the parents do, if
Well, the
anything?
parents, well, there's a chain of command that the parent has to follow, and unfortunately, the chain of command goes as follow. And for a lot of parents, this has not worked. Okay, first they contact the principal. Okay, then the principal sit down with the parents, the children, whatever the principal does. Okay, to try to work out a resolution. Depending on how egregious the situation may be, the parent may have to file if it was an assault situation. Let's say they may have to file an assault charge. Okay, with the police if it comes down to that. If there's no resolution, yeah, they escalate it up to the superintendent. The superintendent's supposed to, and the principal, inform the school board. And I think we discussed in the previous podcast how that does not happen. The school board is usually the last one to know when they should already be aware that there's a problem. They're not aware of it until the parents either send the board members an email or show up screaming, and crying at the board meetings to inform what's happening. I mean, actually crying for help. That's
Yeah,
usually the first time the board members hear it. I always tell the parents, listen, uh, this, see, me, you guys know me, I'm a radical. I will be e- me. I will be emailing the principal. I will be emailing the superintendent. I will be emailing the assistant
that's what you have
superintendent
to
and
do.
all the board members.
That's what you
Okay.
have to do.
And that's what you have to do because you have to open their eyes, the board members, that there's something happening because half of the time, the board members are not informed. They keep it on the hush hush.
Okay, so the school board, because of money, which if anybody who's been watching this, I've said it in a couple of episodes. The next fiscal year in 2025, coming up in July, they will be $50 million in the hole. I saw the projections myself, so that's
Breathe,
not
Denise.
good for a school board to be $50 million in the hole. And that might even be conservative. It could even be more than that, but it's not going to be less than that. I assure you. So $50 million in the hole at least. You're losing money hand over fist. You're getting parents taking kids out of school for homeschooling because of this bullying problem. You start suspending kids, you lose more money. How do you stop the bleeding? I think
Again, the
you have to
bleeding
stop the
starts
bullying.
it starts at the administration level. It's getting the administration to do their job. I mean, we pay our administrator $200,000 a year. For what? For what? Because I hate saying it. Okay, the things that need resolution are not being resolved. They're being swept under the rug. So we're paying $200,000 a year of taxpayer money to a superintendent who's not doing his job outside of eating tacos. Okay, so that's an inside joke. Okay, so how do you stop the bleeding? Well, it comes down to administration, holding administration responsible, okay, for what they are failing to do. And then the thing is, the bullying is bad enough when it's, let's say, student to student. We also this year have had incident of teacher to student bullying. And I'll
Oh
give
wow.
you I'll give you two examples. Okay. The first example I'll give you is after the election. Okay. After Donald Trump won, we have some kids in high school that, are of the age that they can actually vote. So they share with the teachers that they voted and with the class that they voted for Trump. So these kids were being berated by the teachers. Okay, because they voted for Trump. How dare you? You are this. They had every possible phobia you can think of.
Yeah.
Now, on the more on one that hit home, okay, with me, okay, was that a teacher in Cedar Cliff. Now, of course, my husband addressed it with the principal. Told our boys that in front of his classmates, all his classmates, that he had the most homophobic parents in the district. So now that started some little
Is
bullying
that teacher
issues.
still working?
Well, she is still working there. We informed the principal. The principal was supposed to investigate. Yes, gave his apologies, but that stood there. No investigation, no apology from her. Okay. Um, maybe a slap on the wrist, like you know who you're talking to. She's gonna blast you through social media, kind of thing. I think it's maybe what happened between that principal and teacher. But these are the things that are happening now. Another thing, and I consider it bullying. Okay. Cedar Cliff High School, if in the gym class, if the child says something that the gym teacher considers to say homophobic or transphobic, kids are being now required to do run laps around the gym and are required to do push-ups as a penalty. That's another form of bullying, because you see, bullying has different faces. You have bullying, and again, I'm nobody in my book.
Well, that's
Nobody should be bullied,
forget
but
bullying aside. That's making the kids do a physical activity as a form of punishment is,
yes,
if I'm not mistaken, against the law.
it is, and it is
Correct.
happening. Okay, it is happening, and I've been told by more than one child that this is happening. Okay, now they deny. But no, the children are not lying. The children are telling us what's happening. We have
Mhm.
another teacher in an elementary school that just became a doctor in education. God forbid that a kid says Mrs. So and so. Because she berates them, she scolds them, and the kids are complaining about her because how dare you call me Mrs. So and so? I'm Doctor So and so. So it's like this culture has gone mad.
Yeah, and now
The
it's going into
society's
the
gone mad.
schools, and now it's
Yes.
ending up in the schools.
Yes, most definitely. And the kids are paying the price, and the administration is doing absolutely nothing. Okay. And then when the board tries to find some sort of resolution or speak out about it, well, I highly suggest that you don't, because if you get involved, okay, and you try to help these parents are going to be calling you. They're never going to leave you alone, and they're going to expect more and more. Well, that's their job. That's what they got elected for. Okay. So
Yeah,
their hands are being tied by the administrator, and that's the truth of the matter. Okay, so we have violence, we have drugs, we have bullying, bullying in every which direction that you can think of
Yep.
in the Western School District, and the parents are pulling the kids out of school, either homeschooling or cyber schooling. And when they put them in cyber school, if they put them in a private cyber school, not the cyber school that the district recommends, a
yeah,
private one, now the district has to pay out for those children. But it's not the administrator's fault. It's not administration's fault. It's the parents' fault and the fault of these children. You people have us 15.1 million for cyber school. What? I mean, and it's everybody's fault. So I'm like, well, whose fault is it?
yeah,
I'm like,
exactly.
it's
Whose
your
fault is it?
fault.
Yeah,
It's your fault for being ineffective. You're doing nothing. You can't. I mean, they're not getting an education. We all know that.
yeah,
Okay. And now you can't even protect them when they go into school. So parents are frustrated. They're frustrated with what's happening, and they're frustrated that they feel they have no voice. And even if they yell and scream and kick, nobody's doing a daggone thing about it.
yeah. Well, what about the school board? Where are they at on this? I mean, they have to, at this point, they have to know that there's a problem.
They do,
They
but
may
it's
not know
about,
about they may not hear about the individual incidents, and that may not be making it to them, but they have
well,
to know
it
there's a
right.
problem in the
The
school. So what can they
individual
do,
in
or are they
the
doing anything?
the individual incidents are getting to them. Okay, the thing is, they can't do anything right now because of policy. Okay, but what they need to do is change policy because they have the authority to do so. They need to change policy. They need to get these bad policies out, rewrite these policies, and offer these children, these parents, the protection that they need. Okay, and to see that they are there, literally there for their kids and for the kids and for the parents. They need to rewrite these policies and toss out what they have, all these bad policies.
Is that not something they have the right to do? Right? They can do that.
They can do that. They can change it through policy, most definitely. That's
Yeah.
why I did the
So
board.
and we still have there's still 5 conservative members on the board.
We have 5 conservative members. Okay. Now we also have some of the veteran members that are against the change of policy. We have one in particular that she has a law background and she believes that when we are in the school board, that this is her personal courtroom. And I'm like, ma'am, take off the lawyer's hat and put on the hat of school director, that is what you were, voted in for. Because if we need a lawyer, that's why we pay a solicitor.
Yeah.
So it's a pushback. They're always getting this pushback. And then when they don't get what they want, they bring in the clown circus. They bring in the people yelling and screaming. And, well, you know what I'm talking about. You've seen these meetings.
Yeah, I'm going to actually I'm sorry, hold on everybody. Can you guys vamp for a second? Cover me for a second. I'm going to get some information for
Sure.
our viewers.
I shared the link to the student behavioral policy in the chat
Okay, I'll take care of that next.
just to share because it
I
does.
just want to put this website up. This is the website, everybody. If you're listening to it, www.wssd.k12.pa.us/schoolboard.aspx for anybody who's actually listening. I mean, not that you're not listening, but for anybody who's listening and not watching, so you can't see it on the screen. Now go to that website and then go click on. I lost my page. And then go to school board on the right, and then you can watch meetings online. It's the bus selection at the bottom, and you can watch all of the past meetings. I encourage anybody who lives within the school district to please check that out so that you can see for yourself what happens in some of these meetings. Now, Mariana and I were talking before we started this episode, and for next year, what we're going to start with is we're going to go through all of the videos for the past 12 months or so of the school board, and we're going to put together a bunch of clips so that we can present to you, the viewers, what it is that we're talking about, or what it is that the parents are talking about when they say that there's these issues at the school board meetings. We're actually going to show you. I did not have time with the holidays and everything else. I did not have the time to try and put that together for this episode, but Mary and I had already discussed it. That's going to be the first episode that we do in the new year. We're not going to do another episode. That one will be the first episode that we do in the new year, whether it's in end of January or early February. We're not sure on that yet, but we will be doing that episode so you can see the individual incidents within the school board meetings.
Yes, because
And
there is bullying within the school board, within the school board members, and it's kind of sad and concerning to see, and
Denise,
that trickles over to the community.
yeah. Denise, what link was this that you had sent to me?
This is the policy regarding student discipline.
Okay, this is the West Shore School District policy regarding school discipline. So if you're listening and you're not actually
Yes, you
watching,
can click on that
it's
and read through it.
it's go.board.com/pa/wsho/public or hashtag, if you will. So sorry about that. It's a long one, but I know that we have people that listen to our episodes and they don't always watch, but they listen while they're driving home from work or to work or whatever. So we have people that listen while they're at work. So I want to make sure that everybody gets the information. So check that out if you want to know the West Shore School District policy on that. The first link is for the meetings. This takes you directly to the website, and then you just click on school board at the bottom, meetings, and you can find all of the meetings. And I suggest not the most recent one, but the one from 2 weeks ago. What is the date of that one? That is December 5th of 2024. I strongly recommend you to check that one out and go to about the 26-minute mark and see for yourselves. I was going to put that up on display, but to get the full context, you need to really watch probably about 10 or 15 minutes of it. So I didn't want to just, run 10 or 15 minutes re-showing that. So go check out the one from December 3rd, and you'll see it's when they're talking about the new president. Coincidentally, that's when we'll talk about the new president in just a second. But they were voting in a new president, and one of the school board members went at length on why one person should be selected and not another. And I'm all for when you make nominations and then you discuss why should this person be and why maybe should that person not be. Like that's fine. It was lengthy. It was lengthy. So that's why I said you need to watch about 10 or 15 minutes of that, right around the 25 minute mark, and then watch about 15 minutes of it, because it's lengthy. But it's I understand in that context, you're voting a new school board member, and I get it. You want to list with the reasons that you think, the pros and cons for this person, the pros and cons for that person. I get it. I understand that. That was, again, it seemed unnecessarily long.
That was a whole closing argument
Yeah, that was
from a litigator.
yeah, that was quite lengthy. Yeah, and I
And the
know that she
funny, I'm
did.
sorry, Jonathan, but the funny thing is, for us who are on the inside, because we go to these meetings every week, okay, everything that this lady came out, everything that came out of her mouth are things that she herself is doing. So this is called projection.
Yeah,
Mhm.
Okay, and we know that for a
Yep.
fact. Okay, and accusations being made, because we already know about the Sunshine Act lawsuit. Okay, these people are speaking. Not only this particular litigator, Michael the Grinch, is speaking about the Sunshine Act as though they committed it, as though they did this.
yeah,
They have
yeah.
the community doing it, and the reality is, this case hasn't been heard yet. There's been no judgment. There's been
Sure.
no finding of innocence or guilty, and we're still in America. We're
That just
innocent until proven guilty.
that just goes to show you how some of the people that are some of the problems, and some of the people that are the problems in this, because we here on the Boiling Point podcast haven't even talked really about the lawsuit, because it's being litigated. We're not trying to get into any of that. We have more respect for what's going on. Just stay out of it until something is decided.
Hmm.
So the fact that she went on at length and presented it as fact, that's what was even worse, is that she's
There you go.
presented it as fact.
Yeah,
Hmm.
And
that's
that just destroys your credibility. And you can go watch the meeting. It's the meeting that I pointed you to, December 3rd. She goes on, a lot of the stuff she says is in litigation and not fact. It is not fact at all. And talking about litigation while it's going on isn't bad taste, especially in the forum like this, like an election for a school board. That's really in bad taste. At the very, you don't present that as facts. You can say that they're being investigated or whatever, but you can't present them as facts when they're being investigated, when whether or not they are facts are being investigated. So that's
no, it's
very,
bad ethics.
yeah, it is very bad ethics, especially her being on
So,
the school board, and
mm,
those school board meetings being streamed live. So poor taste
very.
from her. And
And
we're going to show more respect than she has in that most recent school board meeting, and we are not going to mention her by name. Okay, because we don't want people going to people's houses and egging their houses, or toilet papering people's yards, or attacking them in the grocery store, or anything like that. That's not where it should happen. So, but just know that at this point, and I say this to all the members of the West Shore School Board, as I've said before, you have public eyes watching you now. You're not
mhm.
getting a free pass. I am not ABC 27. I am not Penn Live. I said it right that time, Mariana. Um, we're not Fox 43. We're going to be watching. We are going to be watching. So,
The
and those
people
are
are
streamed
watching.
live. Those are streamed live. And if you're watching this episode right now, if you would like us to, I've been considering this for a while. Leave us a comment if you're a parent of the West Shore School District and you'd like us to live stream their live stream on our air and provide commentary or comments while the school board meeting is unfolding. If you would like to see that, please leave a comment, send us a message on Facebook. Just search the Boiling Point Podcast. We're on YouTube, Rumble, and Facebook. And get in contact with us. Let us know if you'd like us to do that, because I would love to be able to have Denise or Mariana. They attend a lot of meetings,
I
but
would
maybe
love to see
but
that,
maybe
just
but
saying.
but maybe to provide some color or some context, they would sit out a meeting and join me on the Boiling Point Podcast, and we can live stream it and talk about it at the same time. So leave a comment if that's something you would like to see. I'd like to gauge some interest on that and see if people would actually be interested in that.
Now, speaking about our little Grinchy litigator here, the Grinch, that's what I call her, is one of the board members that's against um the school board becoming or being available to help these parents when it comes to these bullying. The Grinch is one of the people actually advising, oh,
I don't
we can't
understand.
do that, we can't do that.
I don't
And
understand that
and
at
this
all.
is what the thing is, people don't get it because this is what we vote them in there for. Okay, the policy, take the policy, flush it down the toilet because that's where it should be, and rewrite it
Yeah,
because the kids have the right to be protected in the school, and the parents have the right to protect their kids.
yeah, they're
So
lucky
that's
that
being ignored.
they're lucky the wrong kid hasn't been bullied. You know, I'll tell you, if one of my nephews, if I hear one of my nephews is being bullied in school and then the school's not doing anything about it, they're not going to be happy with me the next day. I'll be picketing right outside their school. So like they're just lucky that they haven't pushed even further or the parents haven't reached their breaking point yet. Really, that's really what it is. They're
And
lucky.
that's our fear that one day they're going to push the wrong kid or a kid with severe mental health, okay, the wrong way, and something is going to actually happen because we've already had a couple scares. Okay, not only that kid with that list, we had Cedar Cliff High School, what was it, last summer, locked down, and the police were in there like stormtrooper because some kids thought that they had weapons in there, and other kids were, or was it girls? They were threatening to shoot up the school. So
Yeah.
we had Cedar Cliff locked down looking for guns. So okay, we've had some, let's say, false alarms. But if
Yeah.
this goes not reined in, and they allow this to continue, and the bullying to continue, and the violence to continue on either side, our fear is that one day, like we've seen in the news many times, we're
Oh
gonna have
man.
a
Yeah.
Columbine issue. We're gonna have an issue of another shooting like in Texas. These things can happen, and it's not like we're trying to fearmonger. It has to be
No.
reined in. There has to be consequences.
Yeah. Yeah.
Forget the money. It's safety. It's lives.
You're not bringing this up because you're trying to stir fear amongst anybody. You want people to be we want people to be aware of the situation and how dangerous it currently is. When kids are bullied and there are no consequences for it, the
Hmm.
bully becomes emboldened and bullies more, and the kid that's being bullied is going to be pushed to a point where they're going might do something that they absolutely shouldn't be doing and probably would never think of doing. But when you get bullied like that, you do reach a breaking point. And if there's no consequences, the bullies certainly aren't going to stop. Um, and this is probably not good for me to say on air, but my dad always taught me that if we were being bullied, then we need to stand up for ourselves. So I know not every kid can stand up for themselves. So that's why the school board has to be involved. That's why the administration has to be involved to protect all the kids, not just the ones who can't protect themselves, but to protect all the kids. Kids shouldn't have to be worrying about protecting themselves in public school, as you were just saying. They have a right to go. They don't just have a right; they have an obligation to be in school. If you're going to make them be there, then you have to provide them a safe space when they're there.
And it's trickled over. This bullying has trickled over even to the special ed children. We have the kids that are from regular education picking on the special ed kids. Okay. And like Christy was saying, a while back, we've had incidents in which the special ed children were being bullied so bad at lunchtime that what they were doing was they were having the lunches be delivered into the classroom of the special ed kids. The special ed kids had to eat their lunch in the classroom. They weren't able to participate in recess or in the cafeteria because this bullying went unchecked. Okay, so
That's a
they
big deal.
rather, separate the special ed kids,
Yeah.
versus correcting the problem children.
Yeah.
Okay, and it's gotten so bad that a lot of the special ed teachers themselves, are quitting. Number one, they're underpaid, they're understaffed, they're requesting so much from them, and then this bullying issue at boot.
$50
Okay,
million,
so
dollars,
they're
$50
quitting.
million, dollars, $50 million in the hole. Teachers quitting, special ed teachers quitting, kids homeschooling their kids. Can I just say, maybe what the West Shore School District needs is actually just a complete reset.
They do.
Maybe all of the school board, the superintendent, and the principals, maybe they all need to go, and we just need to start from scratch.
And that's easier said than done because, let's talk about school board and let's talk about elections. Okay. One of the
That
biggest
that
thing is that the RNC in Cumberland County, now they're gonna get mad at me. I don't care less. You guys got my phone number, call me and scream. I don't care. Anyway, they have a way of doing things that is just not right. I mean, it's basically name recognition. If you've donated to somebody's campaign, how much you've donated, okay. If you're a part of the academia, okay, these are the only people that they want. They have gone, some people have gone as far as saying that a regular electrician, a plumber, somebody who works, I don't know, as a cook, that they're not qualified to be school board members. No, it's
well,
we
they're
the
called
people. Those are our schools.
those. They're
Okay,
they're called rhinos, Republican in
exactly.
name only.
And that board should be reflective of the community. Okay, and a lot of people are saying that they would love to see, an African American. They would love to see a Latino. They would love to see people, blue collar workers. But no, it's all academia. Okay, and unfortunately, when somebody, for example, when I was running, correct me if I'm wrong, Denise.
No,
When I
you
was
you ran
running,
a round. You ran a run-in campaign though, right? Like they had to write. You were a write-in.
I was writing correct because they contacted me too late. But then
Yeah.
when they realized that I was going to run on issues, they had a problem with that. Okay, the GOP had a problem with that. They wanted to silence me. They went as far as to tell people not to vote for me because I was an extremist. Remember that? And I kept telling people I'm a jihadist, not an extremist. Let's get it together. But
Oh man,
they wanted to
this episode's
silence
not
me.
going on YouTube.
Exactly. I
We just
got
got
you.
pulled off. Just got pulled off YouTube.
But I mean, jihad only means holy war. That's all it really
Oh,
means.
it doesn't
Okay,
matter.
because that's what that
They
term
don't
means.
care.
But the thing is, they wanted to silence me. They didn't want me to tell the parents and inform the parents what was actually happening behind the doors of the West Shore School District. And you know what? On election day, a lot of parents told me that they found out, they were shocked that all these things were happening. And then when you started doing the podcast on it, a lot of people in election, they mentioned the podcast. Okay, they were like, I never thought that this was already infiltrated in the West Shore School District and that these things were really happening. Okay, why? Because it's like the ones that were running, you say that actually got the nomination, were told don't speak on it. Let the non-candidate speak on it. That's what
Yeah.
they were told. Let the non-candidate speak on it because they wanted them silenced. Okay, and to me, if you allow somebody to silence you from speaking the truth and from protecting these kids, you are a coward. You are a coward because somebody has to stand up and has to declare the truth from the mountaintops. It's like I was saying, I don't know if you've seen the movie Bonhoeffer, okay, by Angel
Can't say that.
Studios. Excellent movie, Bonhoeffer. Bonhoeffer was a pastor in Germany in the time of World War II. Okay, and when he saw what was happening in Germany, okay, in his hometown, how Hitler was even taking it and controlling the churches, controlling the schools, and all these agendas, he was vocal. Okay, and his main priority was to wake up the church and say, "This is not God. We have to talk against this evil." And you know what? That hits home because even what's happening in our schools, we have to speak up. Okay,
Yeah.
because what's happening is evil. So when it comes to the candidacies, okay, for these like board members or whatever, they want it to be people of the academia, okay, the higher echelon, because they believe that the regular, blue collar worker can do it. And I believe they can because the blue collar worker has a child there and
Yeah.
actually know what the facts are. So there's a push to keep regular
And if
people
it's and
out.
if the policies are that complex that you need to have a college degree, then they need to be changed.
Exactly. Because
No
you know what?
policy should be that complex.
Those are our schools. It's our tax
Yeah.
money. Okay. But they've become government schools. And they're taking the Constitution. Correct me if I'm wrong, Denise. They're taking the Constitution and throwing it right out that door. Because anytime you bring out your inherent rights and the inherent rights of your children and of you as a parent, they don't want to hear it. Now here comes the label. Extremists.
Yep. Yep.
Denise
You
can tell
talk
you.
about freedom, constitutional rights. You are a far right extremist. That's just how they operate. And it's really sad because they don't realize that this will affect their rights down the road eventually. So they may have layers and layers of insulated, like the superintendent association and all these different foundation. They have lawyers, in between all these layers of associations, so they think they're safe. And I don't mean safe as in safety, I mean safe in their position.
Yeah.
When do people really learn their power that's in our state constitution that we are, just getting going with on Zooms? And once that happens and more people realize that, we are to be instructing them on what the law is that they swore to, because they do not know, they haven't read it, unfortunately, but they swore an oath to it, which binds them in,
Yeah.
or affirmation. And even if they have just a contract, it doesn't matter. They are all our employees.
Yeah.
So they're not used to hearing that. And our legislature teaches that, like I said last night, they teach the school board members, the new ones coming in, that the people are on the bottom,
Mhm.
okay, and then they're on the top. So they inverted that as well,
Yeah.
because they don't want people to know that they have all the power, and we can remove them. Um, but it's going to take some community members to come together to do that. We don't need everybody, just like our forefathers didn't. And this is not to overthrow or do anything, you know, uh, violent. This is to use our inherent rights to,
Yeah.
when government is not keeping us happy, safe, and protected, we have at all times that indefeasible right to alter, reform, or abolish our government as we may think necessary. So,
Yeah. That gives us the right to, if we need to, remove people from power and put someone
correct.
else and have a new election, put someone else in if they're failing at their job. That's we do. Believe it or not, the politicians and stuff don't want you to know that because it's a messy and hairy political situation. But it
No,
it can be that's we do have the power, and
we do.
get out there, and you need to be paying attention to your local elections. Local
It is
elections are
written.
more important now than they've ever been in this country's past because of what's happening, because people realize that's where you can do a lot of governing. Believe it or not, that's where you can make a lot of fundamental changes, is at the local level. At the local and state levels, you can really influence a lot of stuff throughout the whole country. So get involved if you're a plumber or an electrician or a carpenter, or you bag groceries, or you work at a gas station. If you have a kid there, whether you don't, you just want to get involved, run for an office. It doesn't even have to be a school board. Run for an office. The point of this country and the elections that we are supposed to have is that anybody can run and potentially get elected. Now, of course, it's skewed a lot with money right now in this country. If you don't have money, makes it 10 times harder that you're going to get elected. But it's not impossible. Keep that in mind. It's not impossible. Not with social media, not with the way you can reach so many people today. It's not impossible. So run for something. If you don't like it, then run for something when the next election comes up. Get involved, run for an election, and serve. That's how you can get involved. And of course, if you go to your school board meetings, that would also be helpful. If you want to know what they're teaching, go to a school board meeting and get involved that way as a parent or as just a taxpayer. If you're paying school taxes, you can go to a school board meeting. That's how that works.
And even, and it's funny because yes, go to the school board meeting, but sit down and look at the curriculums that your kids are studying. Okay.
Yeah.
And the thing is, when parents go to these school board meetings or they contact administration because they want to see these curriculums, administration has this long waiting time, or they start bullying the parent. Okay, well, you can't see this or you can't that. Oh, I told you it's in my time, not your time. No, they're supposed to make it let's say comfortable and convenient for the parents to come in and see these curriculums. Oh, well,
Yeah.
you can't take pictures of them, or you can't take copies because that goes against copyright infringement, not when my tax dollars pay for it.
Yeah.
Okay, so these are, this is why I'm trying to say, all this, everything that's happening, if you look at it through every angle, is bullying and intimidation, and because people do not know their rights.
Yeah. That
People
too.
do not know their rights. They don't know whether what they're saying is correct or not. It's something like Denise is always saying, and I love it. I'm going to create a shirt. I'm going to go into the school board with it. It's going to say policy is not law. Okay, because policy can be changed, and people
Yeah,
don't understand that. Okay, oh well, it's a policy, it's a law. No, it's no policy is policy, law is law. Okay,
yeah.
I can
There's
have
Correct.
a
a
policy
Policy
in my
there's
is
a
just a
candy shop.
rule.
and to have a policy that goes against the law is against the law.
It's
So
void.
yeah, you're
There's
right.
no
Actually, yeah, it
effect
doesn't. Yeah, it has no effect. It doesn't
when
even
it
count.
comes
It doesn't
against
even
us.
matter. So
Correct.
yeah, that's important for people to know too, especially parents, because your school board can't enact a policy that is unconstitutional or goes against the law. So if they do, it's immediately void. So it doesn't even matter. It's not worth the paper they printed it
It's not enforceable, and
on.
that's a fact.
Yeah,
But
So
they will
people
fight
need to
you
learn
to
their
keep it.
rights.
They will fight you to keep it,
yeah,
though.
they certainly will
They
fight you
sure
to keep it.
will.
Absolutely,
Especially
and
the
that's the
Grinch.
thing. Yeah, they're going to keep fighting you all the way down. You're going to have to see it all the way through. You're not going to get a technical knockout on this one. You're going to have to fight them
Mhm.
for the full 12 rounds. So you have to fight for the full 12 rounds. If you want to change something, then you better be prepared to fight for the full 12 rounds, because
Exactly. Especially when it
otherwise,
comes to your
tire
child.
your if you tire yourself out, they'll just slip right around you and still get accomplished what they want.
Mhm.
You have to be
Yep.
resolute.
I mean, especially
Absolutely.
when it comes to your child and this policy of local parentis, they tend to believe that the moment that your child enters that school, that your child belongs to them. Local parentis, okay, they have authority over your child to an extent when they're in the school. They can, take them to the hospital if they get sick. Okay. If you gave them permission, they can give them, let's say, an aspirin. If there is little Johnny didn't do his homework because the dog keeps eating it, they can, make sure that little Johnny gets it done, and maybe, I don't know, there has to be a consequence, or say something to that effect. They're cheating. But when they believe that they have the ultimate say over your child in that school, and that what they say goes, well, number one, they're bullying you. Number two, you have to arm yourself by knowing your rights, okay? And you have to push back, because this local parentis policy in the schools here nationwide is being taken, and they're doing basically whatever they want to do with your kids. I'm talking about the whole United States. If they want to put, your kids on puberty blockers without your knowledge, it's gonna happen. Okay. If
Yeah,
they want to have this transgender conversation with your kid without your knowledge, it's gonna happen. So,
yeah,
fighting for our kids and bullying is here in the United States, and is bringing different kinds of heads. And with the parent, the bullying is uh you have no rights over your kids when they're here, they're ours. Okay, Satan, come again.
yeah,
And I've been telling parents lately, how can you fight all this? Unfortunately, because we're in a district that does not seem to care, pull them, either homeschool them or put them in cyber school. Yeah,
yeah,
the district is losing money, but maybe that's what needs to happen for them to
yeah.
get it together, because with them, it's the dollar bill.
Maybe to the school board, maybe hire a superintendent who understands that red on a budget sheet is bad. That might be helpful as well. I'm just
I
pointing
love
that
it.
out. It's not hard. I mean, people think that, budgeting is hard. And I'm sure there's tough decisions that need to be made. But when you're in the red, and then in the red and in the red, and the green's like miles above your head at that point, that's a problem. And how you shouldn't have been there in the first place.
Mhm.
And everything is money. That's what it comes down to. It seems what it's coming down to with the West Shore School District is money. But if they're
Mhm.
not careful, they're going to end up hemorrhaging more if they lose more kids.
And that's
And
the whole thing. The
it's going to be
bullying is
bad,
about money.
as
Okay.
you
And
said, and God forbid that it happens. Be praying that it does not. But if
yep.
there's an incident or something at the school because of the bullying, that is not going to go good for your budget and your bottom line either.
And the thing is this, that the bullying, and correct me if I'm wrong, Denise, the bullying has deep roots. And what I mean by that is that when the parent tries to bring attention to the bullying, okay, that they contacted, let's say, this, I don't know, police department, or they contacted this person or that person, what we're seeing is a pattern that everybody's covering each other. Okay, so
Yes,
it's like, I mean, yeah, it runs deep. It runs deep. Well,
it
this is
does.
my buddy.
It's
You can't
sad.
touch him. And this is my buddy. And before you come to see it, there's this whole wall of
Yep.
different bureaucracies that you will have to go through in order to get assistance for your kid.
Yeah.
I mean, come on, the kids, I mean, ended up in the ER. This other kid, is depressed because there's been, because of this unhinged bullying here and unreined bullying. Right now, we have kids suffering anxiety, getting mental health, assistance. We had I think it was a basketball coach. I think it was a basketball coach bullying the kids. Okay,
Yeah.
and pulling kids out of games just to pull them out of games. He needs to be reined in. Okay, and some of these kids are seeking mental health, assistance. And some of these parents have come to the school board to speak about it. Okay. Even in sports, if that particular coach doesn't like you, they don't like the color of your shoes,
Well,
they
if
don't like your accent, goodbye, Charlie.
Well, I was going to say that it also starts at home with the parents of who have these kids that are the bullies.
Hmm.
Maybe wake up and do your job, and for the kids that are being bullied, uh, ask your dad to teach you with the boxing gloves and do what you got to do. Um, I think that is where we are going to end this episode, unless either of you had something else that you wanted to bring up or cover about this.
But do want to ask Denise one question. Denise,
Mhm.
what do you think that the parents, with your knowledge of the Constitution and statutes, what do you think parents should do at this rate? Because our phones are constantly being blown up.
I would like to say to the parents that are dealing with or have been dealing with bullying of their child or children that because the administration does not want to follow through with their policies and have the board, hold like an informal hearing that I saw in the policy there, they can do like an informal hearing or they can do a formal hearing where everything is discussed and what course of action they can take, and put the child on probation or if they need removed and remedial services, so they have options. It's just the superintendent is blocking that from even happening, so there's no remedy that's happening for the parents. The police are saying all we can do is file a report. Well, an assault happened, so you're saying that you can't go to the principal because he didn't, they didn't handle it right at all. This one particular incident that Mariana was referring to earlier, and there were several others too, so that's not the only one. The parents can get with me and on Facebook through Mariana, Jonathan, whoever, may know who, and I will do an affidavit template for you parents, and we can go over it together. We will leave a blank spot in the affidavit where you can put the harms that are happening to your child or have already happened and you received no remedy from the administration. And we will go over it all together, and you can just take it to your bank and get it notarized for free, and you will have to swear under penalty of perjury that everything that you put in that is fact and you can swear to it. And then all if enough parents are tired of this now and they realize that we hold all the power, we are the real bosses, and they have just tricked and hidden that from us, that we can reel this in ourselves as a people if we come together and we can send in all the affidavits and we can CC the legislature, CC the attorney general, CC the governor, um, the sheriffs, and anybody else pertinent, and we can light some fire under the whole area, just with the law, just with the highest law. So, and that is a common law way of bringing a case.
Okay. So if you whether you and this doesn't have to be parents who are of kids who are being bullied, right? Like if anybody can get involved with this to say that there's a problem or
Well, yeah, if you've had to pull your child due to inadequate care, like a special needs child, and you've had to pull them out and homeschool them, that's a harm.
okay.
You had to readjust your whole
And
entire.
And if you're unsure if you qualify for what they're talking about or putting together, reach out to
A
one of us and
grievance, a harm. Yeah. Any
we can help provide you support. Reach out to the page. I can point you to one of these two ladies to help you get to
yeah, very
get further
simple.
along. So reach out to us. We're on Facebook, YouTube, and Rumble. Just search the Boiling Point Podcast. You can email me directly, jdboilingpoint@gmail.com, if you want to email the show or me directly. That is my show email. And I will see if Denise and Mariana have any emails that they want to put in, and you can check the description of this video and for all the information. That's also where all of our links to all of our channels are always in the description of our videos. So make sure you check that out. This is going to be our final episode before Christmas. Like I said at the beginning of the episode, I'll be out until the middle or end of January. I'm going to be taking a break and recharging my batteries a little bit. But we will be back, and we have lots of stuff planned for 2025. So I'm very excited for that. Potentially even new shows coming out. So we're very, very excited for that. Thank you for everybody who's a fan. We finally went over the 800 follower mark on Facebook. That was a milestone that we had been stuck at for a minute. So I appreciate that. We really want to try and get to over 1,000 before the end of March. So please share out our episodes, share out our content, share out our posts, tell people about us. And if you are so inclined, you want to support us further, go to our storefront, bonfire.com/store/the Boiling Point Podcast. Pick yourself up some apparel. I am wearing the OG Boiling Point Podcast shirt before the Boiling Point Podcast even became the full Boiling Point Podcast, back when it was just a concept and it was only the Boiling Point before I added the word podcast. That's how long I've had this shirt. It's been going on over 5 years old. It's great quality from our storefront. So the shirts are going to last you years, hundreds and thousands of washes. So don't be afraid. I know they're a little bit more expensive on our storefront, but the quality is better. So pay the little bit extra and you're still going to have it 5 years from now. Coincidentally, we'll still be here 5 years from now. So with that, for Mariana and Denise and our coverage of the West Shore School District, until we see you in 2025, I am your host, JD. And that's the end.
Thank
Merry
you. God
Christmas!
bless you.